We're going to start with the session. So the panel theme is actually future ready schools in the age of Industry 5.0. Innovators, adapters are left behind. So when we say innovators, adapters are left behind, are our learners going to become innovators? Are they going to become adapters? Are they going to be left behind? Right. So I believe this is the top topic that we are supposed to discuss. I guess this is a question that everybody has in their mind. And often industry folks used to say that, okay, you are not giving us the output that we want from the high schools or from the colleges, right? I see Sandeep sir nodding. Yes, no, they are not giving me what I want. So so we're gonna delve into that topic with different stakeholders here. We're gonna have a little bit of question and forth here and there. So before we start up, let me introduce the panels. Before that, just give me a second. 1 second. Okay, so let me start up with Sandeep Bhalla, sir. Sir, he is a seasoned international education professional with more than a decade long of experience in student recruitment, school engagements, taking counseling sessions for the counselors and students, right? And as far as I know, he'll be looking at 20,000, 30,000 plus applications every year for college admissions, and he's been guiding students even for their postgraduates or all their activities, if I'm not wrong. So I would say it's a difficult job because with a country like India, when you look at the applications, it's more like a Xerox copy of all the applications, if I can able to say that, because all will have physics, chemistry, biology, physics, chemistry, math with 100%, with 90%, and it is awfully difficult to make that decision. I truly sympathize with you. I empathize with you, sir. But it's a great learning and it's a great place to be to actually make meaningful contributions to the student life, guide them, sir. So we're happy that you're part of the panel. Welcome, sir. And then so the second thing, I wish to welcome Shamit, sir, Vice Chancellor for the Flame University. No, sorry, is it the professor sir?
I'm the head of the department for School of Design, Art and Performance. Yeah.
Okay, so head of the department, sir. I could see that you are around 13 plus years in the industry and you have 5 years in academia. So you have shifted from industry background to here with plethora of experience. Mahindra, Bajaj Electricals, Cummins, and General Motors. So I could sense that you wanted to make a difference from the student life. You were also having a great passion towards design, and design is one field, sir. From the beginning, the base is not set. In 11th and 12th, the base is not set, and people develop that skill of design down the line. So, and we are happy to have you on board for the panel. So thank you for being here.
Thank you.
And Aathishree, so she's our proud alumnus, TIPS proud alumnus, and then she is also alumni of Flame University. She is one of those people who broke that mold in taking pure science, no pure science, pure commerce, no pure commerce. Now I'm going to take a mix of subjects. I still remember she has taken biology, economics, and one another psychology, if I'm not wrong. So she has taken those unique subjects even at that time. That was around 5, 6 years, 7 years before. And she was the one who we always take as an example and then say, come on, don't go with the existing mold. There is a mold you can create. You can create your own mold. And we are happy where Aathishree is currently right now. And she has finished her M.Sc. Public Health in London School of Hygiene and Tropical Medicine. She has worked in ICMR, Indian Council of Medical Research, on many of the research projects varying from tobacco cessation, chronic disease prevention, and digital health, hypertension, and diabetes management. Now, when I read this profile, Aathishree, I was so happy when I read. Okay, I'm going to introduce Aathishree to the crowd. The girl that I've seen, the girl that I've worked for entries, right? I'm really happy, and thanks for spending your time on a Saturday and being here on the panel. So
Thank you for
I
having
believe,
me.
yeah, and I believe Amudha ma'am is here already.
Hi, hi, Madan. I'm here. Hope you can see
Hi.
me.
Yes. Hi, ma'am. Yes,
Yeah,
ma'am.
yes.
How are you, ma'am?
Good. How are you?
I'm fine, ma'am. Fine, ma'am.
Yeah.
So, yes. Uh, See, I have only 2 minutes to introduce all the panels and panelist members, and making just 2 minutes won't do justice to actually introduce all the members, especially for Amada ma'am. So uh, sh- she is the she's from CavinKare. She has grown that particular company two folds and three folds. I know that companies in the recent meeting with in the recent interview that I watched with Ratan Tata, there was a question asked that uh, big conglomerates, big companies always take up small companies and then they grow up. The challenge with the big companies is to grow to the Gen Z potential or to change their products to product that suits Gen Z, Gen Alpha, and so on, so right. So Kavin Care, the recent vertical that she is part of, she has grown that vertical, the vertical that actually sells the products directly to the customers, D2C, and she has grown the revenue 240% in just 6 months. Okay, that says a lot of things about Kavin Care. That says a lot of things about Amudha ma'am on being heading that vertical, right? And she has a stint in the education side also. She is leading the CK group of education institutions, and with 5,000 odd students and 450 odd staffs with STEM and value-based curricula. So the first question that I wanted to ask Amudha ma'am is how is she balancing things? Industry is one thing, education is another thing. So I'll come in deep with you on all these questions later on, Amudha ma'am, but that's the first question from my side to you. So uh, without
Yeah.
further ado, I again welcome all the four panelists for this. Thanks for taking time on a Saturday morning for this wonderful initiative. So the first question, as I said, Amudha ma'am, so I'll start with you. So now, how is this transition is happening? Now, you are supposed to manage both the things because you will have students who are passing out of CK institutions, and on the other side, you're part of the industry, right? Where you are witnessing workforce, right? So the question is, what are the things that you value most from a student or a person who is just entering the workforce, right? What are the things that you want them to have? What kind of a mindset you want, and how are you balancing both?
So yes, thank you, Madan, for that wonderful intro, and thank you, Sandeep sir. Um, so what we do is one thing from the corporate standpoint, we are very particular. Any hire that we do, this has been the culture over the last 20, 30 years that we have, where we first see the attitude of the person. If they have the right attitude, then coaching them and scaling them up is not an issue for us. We know that there are a lot of threats that comes with it, where you can easily see them being poached by another company or anything, but we are okay with it as long as we are able to produce effective workforce for the community. We are okay with it, but we only need the right attitude people inside. And from the institution standpoint, if you see that, again, we prepare industry, our goal is to prepare that industry ready workforce. And the era keeps changing. Now it's AI, and so it's all over. You all the more we have to go back and unlearn and relearn. So again, here we don't compromise on the attitudes and values. So what they end up upskilling, so they have to be learners. That is a mandate, be it on the corporate side, also on the academia side, it is a mandate. And how we they have to have agility. The only one big drawback that I see with the recent Gen Zs and the workforce that is coming in, I think a lot more we all had more resistance, and more open, right? Today that is not the case. I'm not blaming it. I think somewhere it's evolving, and whereas companies we need to also prepare ourselves, but we can't compromise on everything. That can't happen. But maybe our approach needs to change a bit. But eventually, this is what it is. We will have to one point of time for the bread and butter. We will fall in line, right?
Yeah, yeah. Thank you, Madam. So, in line with that, right? Even in the World Economic Forum jobs report, future jobs report that is recently out, there was this striking statistic. It said 47% of the industry folks, right? 47% of the existing companies, they don't need an undergraduate degree or a postgraduate degree. All they need is some kind of a skill certification to prove a portfolio. Uh, an evidence of work, an evidence of experience. So that they feel is that that's more than enough for setting up or getting into an industry. So it's high time that high schools and colleges look into many other arenas. They even the current universities, private universities, are doing a fair good job in actually providing all the opportunities. Flame University is one good example. Even Xavier School University is also another great example where students are doing a lot of internships, a lot of projects on their side. So my question next to Sandeep sir is this: see, when I introduced you, I said you're looking at a lot of reviews, a lot of applications,
Yeah.
and you're guiding them, right? Um, what competencies must schools have to build today, right, on the children to stay relevant, right? Because it's a big question because down the line, um, now we are preparing students for the jobs that are
Mm,
not there right now, and it might be
correct.
there in another 5 years we are looking at a different set of job profile. Now
Correct.
what is your expectations or what schools can do right now
I
is
mean,
the thing that
honestly, for me, what really should happen, and I hope that does, is school, industry, and university collaboration. I feel a lot of times when we, as university representatives, see the applications coming in, and depending on what kind of destination we are assessing the applications for, like, I mean, previously when I used to work for University of Sydney, all we needed there was mark sheets. At this
Mhm.
point of time, when I'm working for Xavier, what I need is to understand what kind of profile a student has. If a student has completed grade 12th, how rigorous the program was. When generally people talk about has the student taken a ACT or a SAT, the idea is not to promote a certain test, but it is just to understand how good a student is managing their timelines as well. So I feel the collaboration should exist between schools, universities, and industries, wherein level one of the partnership model could be exposure, wherein as a university and a school, or maybe let's say even as an industry, we arrange webinars, field visits for these students. Maybe let's say, imagine students from TIPS going over to, let's say, an ENY office for anybody who's interested to, maybe let's say, understand accounting as a experience. Post that happens as level one, then the idea is to also give an experience. Maybe uh, once they come back from ENY office, they also give them a real world challenge for them to work upon, and then tell them that, hey, you have a month to work on this. Why don't you come back after you have presented and present it to our board? Anything of that level. It could be a capstone project. It is something very similar that a lot of students do at an undergrad level. And once that part is taken care of, and if it really makes sense, then we can also jump on to joint curriculum modules. It could also be co-branded certifications. A lot of schools have now started to reach out to institutions and organizations to offer research projects. So I feel for any student, we need to move away from assessment-based modules wherein the student should be graduating with a portfolio. I feel that should really center the entire conversation around. I hope that answers the question.
Yeah, Sandeep. Thank you, thank you. So rightly said. So beyond the marks, beyond academics, there is this portfolio. There is this evidence of student work, evidence of experience. Somehow or other, if the school could able or provide opportunities to build that. Yes. So uh, rightly said, Sandeep sir. Thank you. And Shamit sir, the next question is to you. Like. You've been a design professor, in a classroom of 40, in a classroom of 50, right? So you are used to actually looking at students from various profiles, various skills, and from various boards again, right? So um, what do you think is the biggest skill gap among the students? And I often flame university when I had a interaction with Sadhana and others, right? They used to say IB is good, they worked on projects, it's fine. Cambridge is fine because there is a rigorousness in their curriculum, and it very well shoots our profile of students. But as a university, right, you can't just take those admissions, right, and be happy with it. So somewhere, as a skill, right, there is a lot of skill gaps among the students who are entering, right? So what do you think is the biggest skill gap among those children, sir?
Yeah, thank you. First of all, thank you, Tips, for inviting me here, and it's lovely to be here in a, very diverse panel. I would say the first thing is empathy. I think something, we don't see much in students these days is empathy, right? And I think empathy is the core for a lot of learning, not just in a design class, but also, let's say, in a class of, let's say, business or psychology or sociology, right? Because that is what is key to effective team collaboration. And if effective team collaboration cannot happen, the outcomes cannot be achieved, right? So I think because we are also talking about skill gap, how empathy can be imbibed in the schools, right, in high schools, is something which I think could be a very important agenda, to be looked at. Like, how could students be taken into the real world and, they could observe the real world problems, right? What also happens is a lot of students, who get opportunities to be in such universities also come from metro cities, but a lot of problems are in tier 2, tier 3 cities or in rural areas, right? So how could we actually get students to expose to that? So that's my first piece, I would say, empathy. The second thing is, because of this whole glamorized social and digital world, there is I think the self-awareness quotient is very less, right? What your peers want to do is what you get carried away with, right? Most people get carried away with. So I think it's important slowly that the self-worth and self-awareness, these are two very big terms, and I think it's too difficult to expect a 12th standard, student to, to reach to a maximum level of self-awareness. But I think as teachers and mentors, that is one area I think we need to get deeper into. And I think one thing about design is a reflective practice, right? So it allows you to look back into what you have done, correct yourself, do iterations, experiment, and then move forward. I think that's why I think that approach is something I feel could be looked at much better. And the third thing I'll say is patience. um, I believe that will bring smiles to many faces. That's, I think, it's a very difficult thing to crack, right? How do you develop patience in people? And patience is not about making a student sit in a 2 hour class. Patience could also be about, how do you get student engaged in doing activities outside the class, right? So I think these are my three things: self-awareness, empathy, and patience. I think these three need to be imbibed. So I'll stop here.
Yeah, thank you, Shamit sir. I'm loving this. I'm loving this conversation around. Thank you for making all these points. So I could visualize you standing in front of all the children and then having that calm composure. Come on, guys, it's okay. You have to settle down. It's okay. Thank you, Shamit sir. Thank you. And yes, the next question is to Adi. See, you have gone through tips. You've gone through flame. So, what skills or experiences from the school, right, or from your university proved most valuable, or what you feel that it is missing, right? Now you can say unbiased on your point of view on what worked well for you and what was missing. You might have felt that this is something that you might have done in your school, but you didn't do it, or the school should have contributed, but we didn't, or the university should have done or didn't, or so because you are one person who stepped into the world, right, and have taken up research projects and so on. What is your perspective on it, and what are your takeaways?
Hi, everybody. My name is Aathishree. You can call me Adi, and I'm very grateful for being here today among all the dignitaries here. One thing that I always keep remembering about myself, and almost in a pessimistic way, is that I keep saying that I'm a jack of all trades, but a master of none. That's something that I keep putting myself down on. And very recently, when I told this to somebody, they said, well, don't you know that that quote has an ending? Like it ends with something else. And they pulled it up on Google, and it's basically jack of all trades is a master of none, but sometimes, oftentimes, better than a master of one. So that's the full quote. We never say the full quote because we are so used to saying, oh, you're not supposed to, know so many things, and like dip your toes in so many things, because then you wouldn't be good at one thing, and you need to be good at one thing in this world. But more and more, like the reason I decided to come to tips, I was very frustrated with CBSE. This was when CBSE was transitioning from like semester model to like basically becoming like the next matriculation system, because they were trying to adapt to the NEET and JEE model. And I was not for it. I'm also a dyslexic kid, so I was never made for rote learning. So I never fit into that mold of, JEE, NEET prep and everything. So one thing that tips prepared me for was to be a very early applied thinker, like to be exposed to as many things as possible. And like I think there was a module called Global Perspectives and Research, which definitely opened all of our eyes in tips. Yes, the Madan sir used to teach it with Mohan sir as well. Um, yeah, so that introduced me to academic writing in the first place, and like building arguments and basic foundational critical thinking. So tips definitely encouraged me to question first and not just remember facts. And there's another motto that we have: think global, act local, which I always remember, and it helped me move on. Like I think what things like that taught me is tr- ha- help me to transition from tips to flame very seamlessly, because what I learned in tips helped me to deepen that critical reasoning, critical thinking, interdisciplinary skills that I basically honed in flame as well. Like flame had like lots of foundational courses like digital literacy, academic writing, again critical thinking, ethics, even something on environment and sustainability. All of this were taught to us in first year, and that set the foundation for us, and basically sharpened my thinking for a world that none of us knew would soon become AI driven, right? One of the most valuable modules I did in my first year was about on digital literacy. So they taught us data protection, even design thinking. So I still use the German designer Dieter Ram's principles of good design in both my art practice and in designing research tools and intervention protocols in public health. We also learned about like Creative Commons, intellectual property, and like we were sort of introduced to AR, VR, AI, blockchain. So there was a lot that we learned from that module. And there's something that there was a famous quote that I remember from that module. I just pulled up a website that we were all asked to make as part of a portfolio, and I was just looking at it yesterday. And the first quote that was on my homepage, I didn't even realize I'd done it, was learning is in the internet age means we must learn tomorrow's skills today. So that was definitely something that I got out of Flame and Tips. But what I would say, so what I'm basically trying to say is transferability and adaptability were two of my biggest strengths that I got through Tips and Flame. Maybe what I missed was um, some bit of mental health literacy. I know that it's still a very taboo topic, and as someone who sort of sparked at a very late stage in my life, like I would say high school was when I actually bloomed, because I came to Tips kind of broken by the system. uh, I would say I got burnt out very quickly when I was in Flame. Even though I loved my education there, I definitely got very burnt out, and I had to keep transitioning from Flame to then my masters, then in between internships. It was quite heavy for me. So one thing I wish I had received was a structured education on emotional resilience and well-being. That Ms. Amudha, she pointed out that Gen Z does not have the resilience, and I feel like that's because our education system did not train us for it. Like they keep pushing us and putting us in a pressure cooker, that eventually when we come out to the job market, we basically have the clarity that we know we should have work-life balance, and we get a lot of slack for asking for it also. But um, but we don't have the abilities to actually even incorporate it in our everyday life. So that's something I definitely missed in my education system. um and maybe even a little bit about like how I think you asked about innovation to somebody here. I would say I became very good at adapting my skills, but I didn't get very good at being an innovator until I went into the real world. Because in school you're taught to be like correct, and clarity and correctness is something that is definitely valued, but uncertainty, ambiguity, discomfort are things that you should never value. But in real life, especially in a field like public health, you have to make mistakes, you have to be wrong many times, so that you can learn from others, especially from people in the margins. So yeah, those are things that I definitely think we could have worked on for our for my generation of kids.
Yes, Aathishree, thank you. Big points noted. Being an innovator, opportunities to make mistakes, emotional resilience, mental health literacy, all the points noted, Aathishree. Thank you for all the points. And I guess Shamit sir will agree. It's always good to see our student, when they take up our subject, right? My subject GPR and your subject design, and then say, yes, okay, this thing that has helped me. This is where I have learned, right? Now, it is good to be on the other side to hear all these things. Thank you, Aathishree, for your time. Yes. Now, my next question again is back to Shamit sir. So, Aathishree made one point about AI, right? So AI is rapidly changing the way we learn, the way kids learn, and so on. And even in the industry, right? There is faster AI adoption that is happening on. So, what do you think? When you are looking at a kid entering into school, entering into college, right? Um, how should schools actually begin preparing these children for such a shift? Because sometimes we are clueless on uh, what whether we have to assign an AI related task for them or not, whether we ChatGPT can be allowed, ChatGPT can't be allowed, or to what extent can it be allowed. So what are your thoughts on it, Shamit sir?
Yeah, I think my two primary points here are one, I would say, is to use AI effectively. The understanding of context is very important, right? So you can't right now. I think for a lot of people, right, and especially younger people, AI is more about a quick manifestation, right? It's like a shortcut. It's like a cheat code, right? That is how they see it. But to use AI effectively, you really need to have a good probe. right? And to create a good probe, you need to understand context very well, which means you should learn how to define the problem very well, right? And
Yeah.
unless you define the problem very well, unless you arrive at those right set of questions for which you're seeking an answer, you can't use AI effectively, right? Then, you're probably, you're kind of getting misled, by AI also at times, right? So unless the context is understood, unless, whether it's you're working on a user problem, where does the user stay? What does he do? What does he or she buy, uses, competitors, etc. Right? I think that's how industry has been using AI. Unless that is understood, you will not be able to use AI effectively. So I think that's my first piece. Um, I think universities, of course, I think a lot of universities are becoming more liberal in terms of allowing students to use AI. So it's not that using AI is bad. In fact, if you stop them using from AI, then you're actually moving them further away from where the industry is heading, right? So they can't be agnostic of not knowing AI. The
Mhm.
second thing is very important, which I think very briefly, Aathishree touched upon, is ethics, right? So I think using AI ethically is also very important, right? There are definitely tools, which are now coming up to figure out whether someone is ethically using AI, or whether a certain write-up or a phrase or a para, especially in academics, research writing, all of those are there. But my point is, like, if you are a researcher of a particular subject, right, and if you're using AI to get all the answers, I think morally you are not you're not a subject matter expert. You would only you can only call yourself a subject matter expert when you have a thorough knowledge of it, and you use AI as an augmenter of
Mhm.
knowledge, and not a creator of knowledge, right? So I think these are some of the things. Understanding context, even if some tools students are not aware of in the beginning, that's okay. Even if it's at a chat GPT level, at a school level, it's okay. But understanding, how can you use chat GPT, and uh, also at times experimenting with it. You can't just believe on one answer. So maybe you try different versions of it. You kind of take a very different, you articulate the probe differently and see what it gives you. So how can you also gamify using AI? Could be some of the interesting things that I think schools can do, because then students understand the power of AI, right? So when they come to higher education, then they've already understood how to develop the probes, what are the prerequisites before I get into AI. You can't be given a problem statement and you can go to AI and just do it, right? You first need to understand the problem holistically. So I think, I think those are some of my points.
Yeah, thank you, Shamit sir. Rightly said. So it's AI is not just a bubble, that it's going to burst, and then we can be happy going back to our old lives. But it's going to be
Yeah,
very much part of our life from the night.
Yeah, I'll just add one more point. I think one more thing which we don't see a lot in students these days, coming for undergrad, is while they are curious, but they're not good at reading. And when I say
Mm-hmm.
reading, it's reading physical books, or even for that matter, digital books. And at the pace at which technologies are changing, whether it's AI or whether it's AR, VR, ML, whatever you call it, you can't assume what you're using today, you'll be able to use it effectively over the next 2 years, right? So I think
Yeah,
constant reading, that curiosity should translate into action. So reading books, how do you make reading books interesting for people? How do you make reading even research papers interesting for students? That is why Flame has creative writing and academic writing right in the first year, right? But still, I think a lot can be done to get people to read. Yeah.
yeah. Okay. Thank you, Shamit sir. I've seen the student raising the hand. Adi, yeah. Wait a second. Let me finish off a couple of questions, and then yes, I'll take a question for sure. Yeah. Uh, my next question is to Amudha ma'am. Amudha ma'am, the question is actually a bit twofold, because you are part of the industry. You're also part of the education institution, sir. The current workforce in CavinKare, right? Um, you might have seen them, adapting to this AI. You'll also seen a little bit late bloomers whom you thought are not that much productive enough. suddenly becoming more productive by using AI. And you might have seen certain people who are whom you think are top performers are suddenly slowing down, right? So this is this balance, right? How are you figuring it out, and what are your workplace expectations right now, workforce expectations right now? That's my first question. And there is a second question too. The second question is on the educational side. Now, when Shamit sir has rightly pointed out, these are the things that students have to take care. Now, how teachers are supposed to take care, adapt AI, how, to what extent they can adapt, how they can adapt. In your institutions, how are you doing it? So there are two folds.
Okay. Yeah. Thanks, Madan, for that lovely question. So first of all, I think CavinKare is one of the early adapters of AI, is what I would say. So as to our institutions also. So today in our company, without AI, nothing works. In fact, our interviews, recruitments, the first level of recruitment happens, or screening happens only with AI. Post that, only human interference comes. So any of us, and not one AI, we have to use multiple AI. Today our capex, our approval tools, our budgets, everything is approved via AI. After that only it is being represented to the top management or anything. Any strategy, any formulation that we do, AI is important. Earlier, before AI, if you see, our R&D used to patent, say probably 2 patents or maybe 4 patents in a quarter. That's all. But after AI, what happened is today we are doing 9 to 10 patents a month. And one of the key reason for this is why we were able to do it more effectively is in CavinKare and also in CK Group, we have a concept called invest in yourself. So where any one part of CK have to be learners. So the first hour when we come to office, the first 1 hour is only for learning. And it'll be a structured kind of a classroom kind of an approach, but no one will sit and teach. These are the modules that you have to study. These are the things that you have to do. And weekly we will have a conference or a presentation done by people, where any of the departments, any brand team to R&D can come and if they want to learn something, they can come and sit in that presentation, and we will be scoring marks. So what happens here is not just bookish knowledge, but what are you going to, with that knowledge, what are you going to come and contribute to the company? So that is the crux of the problems that we do. And if I have to say, see, AI, nook and corner, everywhere it's AI for us, even in our farms. So I lead the pet verticals also. So where we are one of the top breeders in the country. So what happens is now today, if you see, earlier before AI was there, the caretakers wait for the veterinary doctors to come and, treat the bird or the animal. But today, with AI coming in, they first have if the bird is sick or if the cat is not doing well, immediately they take a photograph and they put it in AI and get its perspectives. And when they go and sit with doctors, then they are able to have an effective communication, not just by going what, they are saying, and that is there. When it comes to schools and colleges, here again, yes, AI, invest in yourself was the key for us. Uh, but for us, we do it also for students, also for teachers. So where they have to learn, they have students through a lot of certification courses like NPTEL portals and all these things they do. So where the recruitment has gone up, companies are coming back to us and saying that we need more of CK students. And that is not only with CK, I would say that it is largely with all tier 2 and tier 3 towns. Students from that towns, from that area, are far better performers, contribute to large, better than other workforce in the company. So that's why many of the companies today, if you see, they prefer tier 2 and tier 3 students, because that hunger is always there. So you need to have that hunger. And so in schools, we have ChatGPT, students are given access. We give them Claude, we give them Perplexity. So all these LLMs they have to use. They are given, freedom to use. But yes, as teachers, educationists, we mentor them, the prompt training to everything we give them. Same happens for our faculties also. So fundamentally, at the end of the day, as an institution, we need to see that how many change makers you're able to produce for the society, how many adapters you're able to produce for the society, how many entrepreneurs you're able to produce for the society. So these are, I think, these kind of goals, when institution as an institution we have that vision clearly, I think we will be able to have a more structured and a well organized curriculum which blends with the current relevant time and need where we are in. So AI is mandate. As much as you leverage AI, you are going to perform better. And if you're not going to leverage AI, someone else is going to perform better. So it's up to us. Mother, you're on mute.
Yeah, thank you, Amudhavalli. So again, listening from the industry side, right? That we are currently using AI for everything. Wake up, prepare, and don't take everything lightly. Uh, Strong points, ma'am. Thank you for all the points. Sandeep sir, you know, uh, now that we have gone into an intense conversation, all right, the next question to you, probably the last question given the time. Now, I might give one another question for every other panelist if it's possible. Um, the one thing I say, you when you're looking at the application processes, right? Always you'll have that in mind that okay, schools should have done this. If I've started a school, if I have the opportunity to redesign one of the school processes, I should have done this, right? So you would also always have that, right?
Yeah.
What is that one thing that you would redesign for future proof learning, right? So what would be and why you want to do that? One thing, one strong point, what do we want to do?
Sure. I mean, we've always talked about how automation, AI, sir mentioned as well, is changing the world right now, the even oncoming of AI these days. And as application advisors, it really gets tough because you really are never sure whether the answer written in an essay application is that ChatGPT-fied perplexity or is it the real student? So what I really feel if I were to start a school and I was to probably talk about the aspect and something that Shamit sir already mentioned, empathy is something that I would really want to inculcate in the students because when we talk about Industry 5.0, it's human plus machine collaboration. It's important for us to restore the human being to the center. Technology from any perspective will amplify us. It's not supposed to replace us. And I feel somebody who does applications, and I feel this as a question because a lot of times I also get this as a question from my teammates. Do you think application advisors can be replaced by an AI? I feel from a future ready school perspective, we must prepare the students for this sort of an integrated world. And probably what we can do is we can talk about curriculum, which goes beyond the content. I mean, when we talk about CBSEs, the NCRT books that we have, what we always and always forget is we always talk about how does it feel like that it's always a rote learning. What we also have to see that it's actually taking care of the books and students from all set of backgrounds. So maybe if you are in Delhi and you are studying at a very top-notch school, it's the books are also designed in a way so that a school, maybe let's say down south, maybe let's say in Kanyakumari, wherein the resources are not much, even it could be an Anganwadi, these books also tend to those kids. So I feel if I were to ever start a school, and that is something that I have always parked as my retirement plan, I would want the curriculum to teach students how to think and not what to think. I think that is one of the major things, and human skills as the core skills, wherein, as sir mentioned, AI will give out the answers to the kids. You type in any question, you will have an answer. As schools, I would want to teach them how to ask better questions. So I feel this is something that I would want to put across.
You're getting a bigger thumbs up from everybody when you mention asking the right question at the right time, and the best question always gives you the better response out. Yes, Sandeep said, thank you for the point. Um, the final question again to Adi. Adi, I couldn't able to see you. Are you there?
I think I'm having really bad network issues, so I'm sorry if you can't see me.
That's fine. That's
We can.
fine, Adi. Yeah. Now we can. So the final question of the panel to you, Adi, and then we can sum it up. I also saw your hand rise up. So after my question, I'll give you opportunity for you to ask the question back. So we have to still encourage the questioning, like what Sandeep sir has said, right? Anyway, so yes, the question to you is, see, you have tried to do your research, and then you have tried to get into a good job profile down the line after you finish off your flames. So like what you mentioned, jack of all trades, master of none. But again, that's the first time I'm listening to that complete quote as well. So what was missing, Adi? So was there any challenges for you to enter into job, or into, I have seen you getting into internships. I know that it's by your choice that you're working on ICMR and the other places. But again, if you have ever felt that, okay, this is one skill that I should have done and I didn't do it, so I'm stuck here. So what was the one skill that prevented you from getting into a good opportunity?
That's actually a very good question, and it makes me really think about certain flaws that I have, like everybody would. Um, Firstly, I would say, to be honest, I wouldn't say it's necessarily a personal flaw. I think I came from a system that really worshipped meritocracy. Uh, so I feel like after learning in Flame, and like I had a lot of professors there who gave us a very good like radical perspective on social life in our country and in the world, right? So meritocracy really ignores structural privilege and social disadvantage, especially even like in every aspects of life, and especially even with people with disabilities. I mean, I'm not against like scholarships and like upliftment programs, like I was a scholarship kid in Flame, and I wouldn't have even opted for Flame if I didn't have a scholarship there, because it wasn't financially feasible for me at that point. But like these ranking and pitting students against each other, it's not an environment that helps you to thrive. um, and it does not make students autonomous thinkers. Like Sandeep pointed out, he said like you need to ask questions, and that's something I wish I had asked as early as possible, because it would have made me a much more confident, curious, and courageous person than I am today. Like I know, I am sort of like a poster child for tips, and like you say that I'm very good at, choosing the path not taken, like Robert Frost says. But I genuinely do everything with a lot of fear. I feel like when people ask me, Akka, how did you do that? How did you do this? Like, I'm so encouraged by what you did. I feel so scared when like young girls and boys come and ask me these things, because I haven't done much yet. So every time someone asks me, how did you do this? I feel like I have to tell them, oh God, all of this was trial and error. I still don't know what I'm doing. Like every single step I do, like right now, the public health job market is so down. Like it's bad right now for globally because of like the aid cuts and uh Trump's election in the US. So it's not looking good for our like the public health community, especially early career students. But India actually is growing very well in terms of implementation research, which is what I'm interested in. So I see a lot of opportunities here, but still there are so many questions. So I wish my school and like my learning system that I was part of had trained me to be an autonomous thinker. Like I remember learning about this educator and philosopher named Paulo Freire. I'm sure a lot of teachers here might know, and if you don't know, I really, really encourage you to like look him up. He argued against classrooms with hierarchies. He called it the banking model, basically, where students basically just teachers basically just deposit knowledge into like passive students. And he wanted a more of a what we, the fancy word is praxis, but basically it means thinking and reflecting and taking action. So he wanted a more problem posing education system, so which builds critical consciousness in students, right? uh, where teachers are no longer just people, authority figures, but they are co-learners with you. I wish I had had that more sooner in my life, to make me more confident, I guess.
Yeah, thank you, Aathishree. This is the uh, this is the answer, that I was expecting, and you are a poster child for tips just because of this reason, for this answer that you're giving out, right? To the face, saying that meritocracy is so and so, and that's something that has affected me a lot. Okay, so um, that's what a panel discussion usually does. When we actually have industries, when we actually have people as professors saying out loud what are their problems are, how they can adapt, and so on. So, right, I feel so contented to be a moderator today. I'm so happy. So thank you everybody for actually pitching in. Before we wind off, for the participants, yes. You can very well drop us a mail, tlri@tipsyindia.com. So addressing it to the respective presenters, so we can share the questions to the presenters, and then we'll get back to you with answers for sure. And Aathishree, you have another 3 minutes to 4 minutes to ask your question, because as a student, I have to, as a teacher, still have to um, give that freedom of asking the questions and then giving you the answer out. Yes, Aathishree, ask your question out. Yes.
It definitely was a question that I can direct it to anybody in the panel, but it was based on what Professor Shamit was talking about, like building reading skills, right? I was never a good reader, but I'm in a field where I have to read a lot. And I think I would like to blame it on my dyslexia, but I don't know. I really don't know at this point. It's probably a generational thing that we are more like less inclined to pick up a book rather than maybe watch a documentary for like 3 hours. And I'm more of a visual learner, I know that. So I just wanted to ask how, like, I know this is not a me thing anymore, like so many students are struggling with picking up a book and like reading, and there are many tools with AI right now. I know that during my dissertation time in London, I mean, many of my friends and we used Notebook LLM, which was, I think, a Google AI tool, which really helped them read through lots of documents and like government reports. And we had just gotten access to it through our uh, university. So our university was very AI friendly, and it encouraged us to uh, credit AI where we used it. So we were all very excited to use it, and it really helped us with literature reviews and systematic reviews that we were doing. But I feel like we need to like ask students to use these tools when we have to learn. But at the same time, like Dr. Shamit said, like to Professor Shamit said, like just go back to the basics of just picking up a book and sitting with it. I think we are a very distracted generation, and I'm so confused as to what the next step is. Like for us to uh, do better, I guess, in reading.
Samit sir. Uh, yes.
Well, I won't take much time. I actually wanted to compliment Aathishree, not because she's a flame alumna and I'm already proud of what I'm seeing, but more importantly, even accepting and, in a forum like this, right, she accepted that she was low on confidence. She was still, fearful of taking some decisions, right? I think not many people do that. So I think these are the kind of, I would say, future uh, workforce that we need to create. So I wanted to compliment Aathishree on that. And I have also not been good into reading until I started my PhD. But I don't know if this helps. But there's a LinkedIn post also which I created. and I'm not trying to. So this is a book, probably 300-page book called Design Attitude, which I read a few months back. And I have a habit. I've made a habit of writing down, notes in pencil. So because these books are not comic books, which are very interesting to read, right? These are all non-fiction books. So what I usually do is, in one sitting, if I'm reading 3 or 4 pages or one chapter, I actually have a habit of making like a summary notes at the side. So next time, if I have to, read the book or have to pick something or cite something from the book, I just have to look at my notes. That has actually been helping me. I just thought I'll share a small tip here. So yeah, that's it. Thank you.
Yes. Yeah. Thank you, Shamit sir. And from my side, there is something called as cornell notes, Adi. So somewhere when we reading is always supplemented by note taking and writing.
Mm.
Yeah, so it's you can't be passive with reading. So you take notes, write some questions that helps you summarize your learning. Okay, as part of that template. So just search for it, you get it. So that's something that works for me. I always have everywhere I'm reading, right? I have 4 or 5 devices. All the devices I use it for reading. So every device has an accompanying notebook with that corner template. It works for me. So you check it out whether it works for you as well. Yeah. Thank you. Adi. So others, Sandeep sir, Shamit sir, Amudha ma'am, thank you for spending your valuable Saturday morning time. I know that everybody is not used like teachers to spend time on Saturdays working, but you're doing you did a very good job on actually bringing out all the points that is relevant to the topic. And uh, I guess we can wind off this session. And please reach out to TLRI even when you want any other opportunities. We will also be in touch with you for future opportunities. And thank you, Amudha ma'am. Thank you, Shamit sir. And thank you, Adi, for spending time with us, and Sandeep sir as well. So,
Thank you. Thank
with
you.
that, I guess I can
Thank you,
end
sir.
the meeting
Thank you
and
so much.
close. Thank you.
All right. Thank you. See you,
You,
everyone.
Steve.
Thank you very much, everybody. Thank you all the panel. It was wonderful conversation. So many eye openers, so many thought process, so many different perspectives. I think we can go back and have a discussion with our directors. This is what we learned and this is what we heard, and then what can we go back? Probably we can quote Aathishree. Aathishree said this, so probably they'll listen. If we go back with Adi.
Yeah, something on mental health literacy, emotional resilience is coming up, Adi. Right? We'll do something about it. Yes, yes. Thank you, Adi. Thank you,
Thank
Shamit. Thank
you.
you.
Thank you so
Thank
much,
you,
everybody.
See
panelists.
you.
Thank you, Adi, Sandeep
Thank
sir,
you, Amudha
Shamit
Thank
sir, and
ma'am.
you.
Amanda ma'am.
Bye.
Thank you, Bharati.
Thank
Thanks,
you.
Madan. Thanks, Tanu.
And
Thank you. Bye-bye.
all the attendees, the next session is your theme-based webinars. We'll be starting sharp at